Hello, this is Brad. This is part 3 of my Retina Detachment story over the last 2 weeks. If you have not listened to part 1 or part 2 yet, please stop this video and go back and catch up so that you'll know exactly what's going on at this point. Okay, I'm at the hospital. This is Wednesday afternoon. I get to the hospital around, as I recall, 2 o'clock or 2:30 that afternoon. I believe it's 2 o'clock, as I recall. I go through a few preliminary procedures, fill out some paperwork, some blood gets drawn, talk to a couple of nurses. They fill out some documents, questionnaires on family health history, and then the waiting game truly begins. I am scheduled to be taken back to pre-op around 3 o'clock. That did not happen exactly on time. They were a little bit late. I figured about, I'd say 15 minutes late, give or take a little bit. Anyway, they finally call my name. I go back. I go into a little room with a nurse. She hands me a coat hanger and something to hold my clothes and says, please step into the bathroom and remove all your clothes and put them inside the clothes hanger. And I do that. And I do that for everything except my boxers. And I put on the little gown, walk out, and the nurse is there, and I say, can you help me tie it from the back? She said, yeah, I'll help you tie it, but when I'm done, please go back to the bathroom and take off your boxers. I said, you want everything off? She said, yes. I said, okay. So I take everything off this time, and then come back in and lay down on the gurney, and she preps my body for the IV. She puts in an IV of I guess salt water. She said it's just salt and water. Like what's in your body up naturally. So I said, okay. And she does something that I've had to deal with basically all day long. Apparently they have a procedure at the hospital where they ask you your name and your date of birth over and over again, multiple times. So she asked me my name, my date of birth. I give it to her. In fact, I think she asked for it twice during that period of time. I answered it both times. I'm on the gurney. During the process of being on this gurney, a family member comes in with 2 friends. They kind of give me a moral boost. They pray with me, say you'll be okay, etc., etc. And then they leave. The family member stays. And the family member in this case that I've alluded to the entire time is my mother. She has been there by me pretty much the entire time. And she's by me there. And it comes time for the actual procedure where I will be going under. I found out earlier that day that I would have general anesthesia, so I would be asleep the entire time. There was some question as to whether that would be the case or not, but I found out on that afternoon or actually earlier that morning, that yes, I would in fact be totally asleep. So we have a nurse comes in. She takes the gurney, goes down the hallway. My mother is following. By this time, she's crying. I said, it's okay. Don't worry about it. I'll be okay. We get to a point where they take me to a holding room. Another nurse takes over. She tells my mother, go to the waiting room. She gives her directions. And I go with that nurse. She takes a gurney, takes it into a holding area. And I eventually meet the head nurse I think her name was Nancy, as I recall. I meet the anesthesiologist. I also meet a few other people, as well as the surgeon himself. They answer a few questions that I had. And throughout this whole process, I'm asking questions because due to the issue of Tuesday night where I saw the bubbles and I didn't really expect to see the bubbles, I made a point from Wednesday onward that I was going to ask questions and not assume anything. I was going to get as much information as I could. But anyway, talked to the doctor, talked to the anesthesiologist briefly, a few others, and by this time I'm prepped for the IV. They've got it in me, and I'm just laying back, trying to rest my eyes, trying to relax, and the time comes. They had a curtain closed off in the holding area. They opened the curtain up and said, "It's time, Mr. Weaver. We're going to go take you to the OR." So here we go. They carry me to the OR. I meet a guy named Hunter, who was a part of the fire department in Americus. He and I knew a common individual by the name of Roger Bivens, who worked at the fire department. And Roger had a wife named Sheila. So we talked a little bit about Roger and Sheila. And after that, I asked, by the way, will I be getting an eye patch? They said, yes, you would. And then a few moments later, the guy named Hunter comes over with an oxygen mask. Puts the oxygen mask on my face, and I immediately push it away. And I just say one word, claustrophobic. And I said it out loud. And he said, hey, no problem, no problem. We can fix that right now. So he took the mask off and just had the tube. And he stuck the tube in my mouth. He said, Brad, just take some nice, long, deep breaths. And I did exactly that. And about that time, the anesthesiologist, I guess it was him, I wasn't looking. I was trying to keep my eyes closed. He said, Brad, you're going to fall asleep in about 10 seconds. And I don't know if it was 10 seconds. I don't know if it was 5. But whatever it was, it knocked me out. And thus began what I have since referred to as my journey as a space cowboy, because they sent me off to Never Never Land. I was flying around the stars and the moon, apparently, because whatever concoction they gave me worked. The next thing I remember after that was being woken up, and I hear a female voice, the nurse, or whoever it was. Maybe it was the head nurse that I had met earlier. She said, it's over. Time to wake up. Good surgery. Everything went good. And when I woke up, I was very groggy, very drunk. Again, I don't know what they gave me. But there's no grain of alcohol on the face of this planet that can knock a human being out like that anesthesia did. It sent me off into, like I said earlier, I was a space cowboy. I went off into flying amongst the stars and the planets and the moon. I didn't remember anything, not a thing. After the anesthesiologist or whoever said, hey, you're going to go to sleep in about 10 seconds. That's all I remember. And then I remember being woken up. And then I immediately remembered having a very sore throat. I said, my throat's sore. And my eyes by this time were barely open. I was trying to sleep still. And somebody said, we had to intubate you, which meant they put a hose down my neck for oxygen. And they said, we can get you something to drink. And I said, well, just bring me water. They said, we don't have water. I said, we got Gatorade, we got apple juice, we got Coke, and we got Sprite. I said, bring me apple juice. And by this time, I'm still, just half functioning, if that. I'm trying to sleep. I'm drunk, basically or stone. I don't know what you would want to call it, but I'm basically out. Um, I mean, they could have done a whole sequel to Weekend at Bernie's with my body. I mean, they could have called it Weeknight with Brad. And the tagline of the movie could be, we don't know if he's dead or not, but we're having fun. Anyway, but they give me the apple juice. I drink it down, but the sore throat's still there. They will me to recovery, and I'm just sleeping. And the next thing I seem to remember is hearing my mother's voice and feeling her, I think, touch my hand or grab my hand. And I open my eyes up barely, and I see some more apple juice that's been sent there. I open it up, pour it in the cup, and I drink it as well. And the next thing I remember after that is that eventually my mother, along with the nurse, they helped me get dressed. I'm waking up more and more by the minute, but I'm still very groggy. Right eye is patched over, and it's probably closed anyway, so it doesn't matter. So I'm seeing nothing out of my right eye. What I do notice a little bit is there's some tearing up. That would become an annoyance for me over the course of the next 36 hours. But tried to wake up, had some help getting dressed, put me in a wheelchair. The nurse wheels me out to the doors of the hospital. My mother drives up in the car. They help me get seated, buckled in, and off we go to home. And this is going to conclude part 3 of this message. I will pick up with part 4 in just a moment.